external knowledge sources to give some grounding response. Okay. So if you see this a grounding response kind of a thing, there is something called a knowledge source. They connect through these external systems and give us some grounding response. Okay. So this is the reason why industry uses this RAG in their almost all use cases to come up with the grounding response to reduce the hallucinations. So hallucination is one of the major issue of this LLMs. Whenever you use this LLMs, you'll have this hallucinations issue. Means factually incorrect response you typically get from LLMs. Okay. So there are a few, if you see in the tabular uh, table, there is something called knowledge source. So knowledge source is nothing but is your external documents or database. Maybe in your organization, let's say in gyms, you have some of the knowledge base of the students, of teachers, salary slip, okay, grading systems. Maybe the course, the notes. So these are nothing but these are your a kind of a knowledge sources. Okay, and these knowledge sources are important because you pass it to LLMs. So if you see this, flow, LLMs comes at the end. Okay, but there are a lot of activities are happening before LLMs. Okay, so user is asking, let's say you are asking a questions to your LLMs. Let's ask, let me ask one questions to, let's say, a GPT model about gyms. About gyms university, I'm asking some questions that when it was incorporated and how many students are there. So obviously they will go through your data, the knowledge source of gyms. They will see and search if these records are available in gyms knowledge source or not. Then they will display a response. But again, to do all these things, they have access of your data sources. Otherwise, they can't do that. Okay, that is why this knowledge base is required because it's again external to LLMs. Okay, and then they augment the prompt. Augment the prompt. The prompt is user query. So to augment the prompt, you need this external knowledge. So the prompting augmentation is nothing but user query plus knowledge base. Okay. So this is again augmented and it is passed to LLM. So once it is passed to LLMs, then it gives us informations which are factually correct, kind of a no hallucinations you can say. Okay, that is why this RAG is more used and kind of a use case that is there in each and every industry. You'll see if even if anyone is creating any chatbot or any chat services, they have this RAG. One of the use cases is RAG. Okay. Now we'll see that how this LLMs are trained on. So earlier we have GPT models, the more of a chat GPT. So in the kind of a assistant terms, or maybe in a co-pilot terms, you can say. So they had some knowledge, but static knowledge. If you remember, if you used to inquire, this LLMs, ChatGPT in 2023, you might have got some responses that I was trained on data till this one. Okay, so why they were telling me? Because they had some of the training cutoff date. You see this one. They had some of the training cutoff date. They had this training cutoff date. Okay, this training cutoff date they had. That is why they used to say that my information is available up to only 2022, maybe September 2022, because I was trained on these data that was available. Okay, so outdated informations was there. So obviously, data created after this training cutoff can't be accessed through LLMs. And again, LLMs had this, a domain, lack of a domain, you can say, knowledge. They might not have a rich understanding of a healthcare, let's say. So how can they give you responses which are related to healthcare? Okay, maybe your internal company document. Similarly, I was giving you one answer, a scenario where I just wanted to have questions, or maybe the related to some of the answers, or maybe like to know some of the informations to your university. Okay, but I do not have access to your internal university's documentations. So that is again will fall under this lack of domain specificity. Okay, and also I don't have this technical manuals. Okay, so again LLM doesn't have this kind of accessibility. That is why their knowledge is frozen in time. Okay, so that creates a problem of these hallucinations. Okay, again, because they, if you ask any questions related to maybe gyms, they hallucinate you and they give you factually incorrect response. It seems like the answer is correct, but when you cross check, cross examine it, you will find it is factually incorrect, because they will give you a response from their own training data, but it is not factually correct. To make it a factually correct, you need to pass some of your internal data to it. Okay, so that is why these LLMs need kind of extensions to external data. And there is also concept of agentic AI, model context protocol, that we'll talk much later, but not today. So now, this is one of the architecture. I'll try to implement this one today, and you'll see that the how multi-model document, and you can put a query and you can get a response back. So let me just explain a bit what is this, and then you'll see through a demo. Okay, so let's say you have some of your data sources. Let's say it's a gyms. Let's say it's a gyms data sources, maybe in different format, but I assume here we have a document in a PDF format. Okay, this is your data source. So again, let's say that PDF has all the information about gyms in a PDF format, and again, if I pass it to my Azure sources, so they have some of the Azure AI document intelligence is there. Okay, so they extract all the key informations. There is something called semantic chunking. Semantic chunking means the something which are similar in semantic. For example, uh, uh, maybe the king and the man may belongs to the same, the semantic, lexical, you can say, in the family. So they will have the same embedding, similar embedding, and categorized in the same, can say, the category. Okay, so they're gonna extract the informations from your data source, and they chunk it in a semantic format, and they store it, and they index it in a Azure AI search. I'll explain what is AI search. AI search is nothing but it's your vector storage, vector database of Azure. Okay, Azure has their own inbuilt vector storage, and this is Azure AI search again. And whenever you, let's say, a user is asking one of questions, let's say, if user is asking any questions here, if I'm asking a question related to James, it will go to again to the knowledge base, and it will see if there is some knowledge related to this data source or not. They augment it and they pass it to this GPT model. That is a prompt plus knowledge response that I was talking about. That is augmenting your response. Why they are augmenting a response is to have the responses in human readable format where human can understand, a human can interpret, right? If I pass, even if I give you some embeddings and numbers, you cannot understand. A human cannot understand numbers embeddings. But what if I translate it into your language, natural language, then it is obviously understandable to the end user. So again, responses are nothing but it's in natural language. That is why this Azure OpenAI is again a LLM. Okay, we'll see this. So let me quickly start. Quickly go to my Azure. Let me. Okay. Okay, it doesn't take much time. Hope my screen is visible. Okay, this Azure portal is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll not take much of the time. Let me just spare 20 minutes here, and then we'll see. Okay, so again, we are trying to implement RAG. It's again, I have shown you the architecture of uh, this Microsoft Foundry, or you can say the Azure Cloud, and how we are going to implement it. So there are some components. You might have seen some of the Azure AI search, if you broadly remember. AI search was there, and there was some LLMs you might have seen. So there are something that you require. So again, whenever you are using Azure platform or any cloud platform, you require some of the services first. You need to bring in a bucket all these services first together, and then you map it as per your use cases. Okay, this is again at a high level understanding of using any cloud. Okay, so I'll go to, because I have some of the data sources. So let's say, uh, okay, let me go to the Microsoft Foundry. Okay, so again, you can search it through here, Microsoft Foundry. So Microsoft Foundry is again for implementing RAG solutions, implementing your GenAI, Agentic AI, MCP-based solutions. Okay, so I'm just talking about this GenAI solutions, RAG solutions only. Okay, so if you see this one, so this Foundry, Microsoft Foundry has some of the services which are being displayed here. Let's say this is AI Hub, where all your models are there. So when you click it, you'll have some of the models, and you can launch it in the studio and you'll see. Okay, and also I'll show you that what all models are available. Then we have this Azure OpenAI. It's nothing but your OpenAI model inbuilt with this Azure. Again, it's LLM. Why we require LLM? For reasoning, to have this natural language response back. That is why you require these services, Azure OpenAI. And Azure AI search is nothing but your Azure-based vector database, because your data is unstructured. And unstructured data stored, they create some embedding on top of it. So to store those embeddings, which are again in unstructured format, it's not relational, but it is semantic. Semantically they have some of the storage. For to store those semantic embeddings, you require this vector storage. That is why we'll use this AI search. And Foundry is nothing but it's like a playground where you will see that to have interaction with the models and entire systems. This is called a Foundry. Okay. So again, we'll go with this AI search first, and so let's say we have this one minute. Let me go to the resource. So whenever you create, in Azure, you must have some of the resource first. Okay, Azure. Let's say you must have some of the resource. So I have already created RG Cosmos. It's just a resource name. So whenever you work on Azure cloud platform, you need to create a resource first. This is called a resource group, and you group all the services of Azure together. That is why it's a resource group, a combination of resources they can hold. Okay. So now let me go to this Azure resource. So let me go to the Azure account, because the data source that you require first. Okay. So let me create there. Okay. Just see. Okay. Now let me just select this resource group RG Cosmos. What I'm creating is a storage account first, because if you see in this architecture, you might have seen this resource was there, data sources. I'll create data sources, then AI search, then LLM, then we'll display it in a Foundry. Okay. So RG Cosmos is a resource group, and let's say storage name is James, GORAG is, let's say 33, that I have given a name. Okay, storage name. And that will hold my PDF. Okay. And the region where I just want to use is East US. You can pick up any, but let me pick up this East US. Hope it is available. East US, not East US2. Where is East US? This is East US. Okay, this is the region where my storage will be located. Okay, and preferred storage type, let me have, because I just want to store my the document in the blob storage. Okay, so I'll pick up this Azure blob storage. Okay, so I'm just picking this blob storage is nothing but to store. It's a similar to S3 bucket of Amazon, where you kind of a dump all the you can say PDF or any kind of a data. It's a similar to your you can say drive, Gmail drive. Okay, you put every single image, PDF, and everything. So it's a similar to that one. Okay, and let it be geo redundant storage and everything. Don't do anything here. Just click next. You have some of the security layer. We don't want to put any security layer because we are not creating any production grade rack system. So we will not do anything here in the security. Again, you'll click next. So there is something called public network access. So right now I'm creating rack systems where people can access from any public network. We are not giving any of the the virtual network kind of a thing, or not limiting people to access my applications through any of the networks. It's open for anyone. Anyone can access it. Okay, right now. And also not creating a private endpoint. For example, in industry, you'll see there are some of the endpoints which are provided to customers, which are very private. Only the users of those, only the registered users of those can access those private endpoint. Okay. So now I'm not giving any kind of limitations or any tick to this private endpoint. Let it be. Okay. Scroll down. So it looks like this. The screen would look like this. If you want to add on the private endpoint, you can add it here. Okay. Then let me click next. So when I click on next, there is a data protections again. So if you want to bring in the element of data governance, a kind of a data leakage or something, so you can tick in all these things, a kind of a data protections. And if we don't want someone to delete your data sources, so you can lock it, and nobody can delete it. If someone, uh, you know, fortunately or unfortunately clicked it, you'll get some message that you cannot, delete it. It's a soft lock or something. And again, encryption type, it is Microsoft managed. You don't want a customer, managed key to, unlock. So we don't want to put any encryptions here. And again, it's a block type files. So we don't want to have any kind of encryptions in place here. So next tag is nothing but kind of putting a labels. I mean, to understand kind of tagging it. I mean, kind of it's again a user defined. You can, if you want it, you can tag it to understand. Let's say if you have a multiple resources, so to understand it, which resources, whether it is IT related, whether it is finance, HR, something. So you can put a tag that okay, this application is related to IT. Okay. Then again, it's next and review. It may take some time. So validation is in a progress. So you'll see whatever steps you followed have all these data here, and it is displayed like this. Okay, if you scroll down and if you see before creating it, okay, if you see if wrongly, if you have picked up any wrong resources or anything, you can go back and you can check or uncheck. Okay, so now I'm creating a storage account. So when you create a storage account, again, it takes some time. So maybe take some fraction of seconds, and it gets deployed. So deployment is in progress. It means my resource, the storage account inside my resource group is being deployed here. And these are some of the details. If you like to see that this the service where it is mapped to. This is mapped to RG Cosmos. And when I create it, so also the creation date is there, and correlation ID, that is for again to identify. So let me go to the resources here. Okay. So if I go to the resources, you'll see screen like this. You'll see the screen which looks like this. So there are some of the important elements are here. If you see this one. So created date creation time is there, but also disk type is primary. Okay, secondary is available. Where this resource was created, East US. This is mapped to RG Cosmos, and the subscription. This is my subscription ID. Okay, so I'm creating. So again, the bills will come. So don't worry. So now I have to create some containers, because whenever you want to upload data source, you need to have some of the containers. No, so let me add one container here. So let me say Jim's container, let's say 33. Okay. So this is the name of the container. Okay. And let me create it. So once I create it, then we'll have some of the storage, the containers. So successfully it is created. You'll see on the right side, and the name of the container inside this is storage account, blob storage, you can say, has Jim's container 33, which is a private, and success level is a private, and you'll see this kind of some of the descriptions. Okay, so let me click it here. So once I click it, there might be some of the directory or something. So let me say Jim's dir or something. Let me see if it works or not. Okay, then let me upload. Okay, so there is one content of chemistry. So I'll show you what this data holds. So let me first upload it here. Okay, so it is being uploaded. So what I did, I created one storage account. I created one container, and inside this container, I put this PDF file. So again, I created the data source. Whatever it was required, I created this data source. Okay, so let me go to this PDF one. What is inside this PDF? Let me check. Okay, so if you go in this PDF. So again, this is environmental chemistry. Some of the the PDF file is there. So it's talk about this environmental segments and related to some of the environment science. So nitrogenification, nitrifications, more of a related to chemistry, environmental chemistry. And there are also some of the images if you see. Okay, so locked up in a polar ice cap or something. This is again some of the diagrams. Okay, and there are a lot of diagrams up there. Okay, so again it's the image, and how to verbalize it and how to put a caption, right? So if I give you this image, it's very difficult to decipher it and understand the context. So the context understanding is more important. So this is the image and kind of a text and image together. So multimodal, kind of a and data is there. So the task is to how to understand this one. Okay, so let me not spend much time here, and let me go back to my screen here. So the image is there. Sorry, this PDF we have uploaded, and let me again go back to home. Okay, so now I'll go to the Azure AI Foundry because the data source, the one that is completed. So if you see this part is completed, now I'll go to this one, and I'm interested in this one and this one. Okay, so this is again AI search, and this is OpenAI model that we talked about. Okay, so I'll go to the AI search first here. If I go to the AI search, okay, let me go to AI search. So I'll create this AI search because this is a vector database, because the embedding will be stored in the vector database. So again, let me go to the into RG Cosmos, and let me James RAG 02, let's see. Let me follow it. And it's in East US. Okay. So why I'm creating a search service? Okay, it's an AI search and search service because the data sources which I have uploaded will get converted into embedding through the embedding model. I'll also show you which all embedding model you will use. So embedding, once it is creating embedding, once it is created, the embedding is created, it will store somewhere in a vector database. So that is why to bring in this vector database, we are creating this search service. So search AI search is nothing but a vector database. Okay. Now, so standard is 160 GB partition. Let's say if you have a huge data, let's say Gyms has a huge, let's say there are many branches of Gyms and they have a huge data repository. So that is why you have to increase the pricing tier. But right now I'm using this standard one because my data is limited. Okay. Now I'll go to the scale, whether I want to scale it up or to create some replica or something. So in that time, we have to select. For example, if I go with this price, I'll incur this to $50, okay, per month. Next, I'll go to the networking. I'll allow everyone to access this application. I'm not limiting it, right? So that is why I'm just clicking this public one. Next is tag. Again, tag is nothing but identifications. Okay. Then we have this create plus review. So we'll see again before creating this resource. You'll see that whether we review it again. Okay. So if there are some, something which we have incorrectly dictated. So yeah, then again we have this create button. So it will take some time to create. So what we are doing, we are doing, this one, we are working on this AI search. Now this data source is complete. This AI search again. So AI search will have this. These all are already inbuilt in this Azure AI intelligence is inbuilt in this AI search. That is why we are working on AI search. And then again we'll work on this Azure OpenAI once it is created. So if you see this one, so again deployment is in progress. So it is deployed. This is complete. So you'll see a kind of notification like this. So let me go to the resource. Okay. So once I go to this resource, okay, so you'll see this screen looks similar to like this. Okay, so you can also see the one replica that I have selected for the database. The URL is this, and we have all these descriptions. You like to check, and you can check it. Okay, so now these two data sources and this AI search is complete. Now I'll go to this Azure AI Foundry again. And I click this, let's say Azure OpenAI. Okay, let me click this Azure OpenAI. Okay, so Azure OpenAI, why I require this Azure OpenAI? The reason is that we want prompt plus knowledge response in a natural language. That is why I require this Azure OpenAI. That is why I'm just trying to configure it. Okay, so I'll go to the create. I'll go to this Azure OpenAI. Okay, because I need an LLM access. So LLM access is there in this Azure OpenAI. Okay, this is again a LLM. Okay, to access those services, we need to create kind of a permissions, right? Again, my resources are mapped to RG Cosmos. East US is the reason, and let's say, uh, let me go back. Let me go back again. Okay, so AI Foundry and Azure OpenAI. Then let me create this one. I was in this page, and then RG Cosmos. Let me go down. East US, and let's say James OpenAI and 01. Let me call this name if it is available. Then okay. The pricing tier that I want is as not. That is again for the basic pricing, because again, if I want to access Azure OpenAI LLM models, I'll incur some of the cost. Okay, and then let me click next. I'm allowing from all the network accesses, not restricting them. So next, tag is again no need to worry about this tag. So we have this review plus submit. Okay, so it may take some time, and let me hit this create button. Okay, so again we have all these things configured, three things configured, and we require some of the LLMs again. So you'll see the for the embedding generation. So again, let me go to the architecture. To connect to these LLMs and to create this semantic chunk and all these things, we require embedding model. So again, through this OpenAI, there is two things that you require. One is embedding model, other one is in LLM. LLM means we may require some of the maybe GPT 4.0. In embedding, if you can remember, there is something called text embedding. So text embedding, ADA, there are some models, pre-trained models. So I'll show you that which all model we require. So now it is completed, OpenAI. Okay. Now let me go to the this interface. If I go to this interface, I'll see this one. So it may take some time. Okay. Now when you see at bottom, there is something called explore and deploy. So why it is written explore and deploy? Explore and deploy the generative AI model. It is written, right? Craft unique prompts for your use case and fine tune select one. So that is why I'm just hitting this one, blue tab, explore foundry portals. Okay. So I'm going to this explore foundry portal, and it will show some screen which is completely looks new to you and kind of a playground it looks like. Okay, so if you see this one, there is something called Microsoft Foundry. This is again a platform for RAG and agentic AI applications. Okay, So if you go, if you see, so this is again a chat background. It looks like this, okay, and we'll use it, okay. So again, so let me go to this sections. If you see this one, you might have aware of. There are some of the sections in the left side, okay. So let me quickly jump to, there is something called shared resources. Let me go to this deployment, okay. So I mean, going to the deployment, why I require this one? Okay, so I need two things, two pre-trained model. One is embedding model, other one is a reasoning model. Reasoning is again GPT 4.05, any model. Okay, I need one of the reasoning model to give a response in natural language. So first I'll go to this deploy based model. So deploy based model, okay, and then I'll write embedding. So you'll see that there will come some of the embedding model. You'll see there is a text embedding add-on 002, text embedding 3 large. So let me select this one. So once I selected this embedding model, again, this is inferential task. Creating an embedding is an inferential task. Okay. So I have created this, I have selected this text embedding model, a large, and you'll see this one. There is a descriptions of this model. So task of this model is to create embeddings. So again, a vector storage for create a vector database before we need this kind of a model. So the model's capability is there, benchmark and everything, and in what all use cases you can use, it is there, so you can read, right? So there is something called a confirm button. So we'll confirm it, and you'll see the screen which looks like this. So I have selected this text embedding 3 large, and this deployment type is standard global. There are different ways. So a standard global, let me select. This is a standard. And if I read this one, what this model will do, this has a capacity of 130K tokens per minute. They can process it. They can create a generate, this embedding out of, this model. Okay. So, and the safety is default one. Again, content safety that we talked about, responsible and, this ethical AI usage. And model will not be automatically upgraded. It will be notified. Okay. Then I hit this deploy button. So it will deploy. I require embedding model. So now I have one of the embedding, this text embedding 3 large. Okay. Now again, I'll go to the deployment. Now I require one of the reasoning model. So from where I'm going to pick up? I'll pick up again from here. The reasoning model, maybe let me type GPT 4.0. So it come directly 4.0. It is not, I don't know. So GPT-4o mini, let me check. Okay, this is GPT-4o mini. So if you select this one, so this is again coming directly from the Azure models, and you have these descriptions of this model. Okay, so what all can you do? So what GPT-4o model typically, you can use it for response generations and chat completions. Again, we are using this chat, this Foundry. So you use this chat completion. So that's why we need this reasoning model. This is again a reasoning model. Let me confirm it. So once I confirm it, I'll go again with the deployment part is whatever the global standard is, and the same. This model has the same, deployment details. So I'll go and hit this deploy button here. So let me just hit this deployment button here. So we'll have some of the data which are not important right now, but also what is all these things. Okay. So now I have two models in place. One is embedding model. You'll see this one is embedding model. Other one is a reasoning model. And you'll see screen which looks like this. Okay, global standard capacity is 100, rate limit is these tokens. That is more important. So embedding is 10,000 or 1 lakh or something, or this is 1,30,000 or something. Okay. So these are the some tokens per minute is there. Okay. So obviously it gonna cost. Okay. So again, let me go to my screen. Let me go to home. And again, let me go to the storage account. Okay. So storage account, it is there. So let me go to again the AI Foundry and AI search. Okay. So once I go in AI search, okay, and then Azure AI Foundry. Okay, open AI. Okay. So these are all configured. Okay. So now this is the storage account. Okay. This is the storage account, and containers. If you go this containers, okay, Jim's container 33. This is there. Okay. Let me see if it is there or not. Data chemistry is there. Okay. This is your OpenAI RAG. So there are services which we have configured here. Okay. So explore Azure AI Foundry. Okay. So now we have these models. So, okay. This is typical the screen. Okay. So now we want to add, this source. So before that, let me check what we all have configured it. Okay. So data source is configured, Azure AI search is configured. Now LLMs, embedding, and all these things are configured. Okay. So let me go to the resource management here. So these are some of the key endpoint if you want to access. Okay. So again, this is Azure OpenAI LLM. So this will navigate you to the LLM, the AI point. Okay. And there is something called AI search. Let me go to the AI search. James tag this one. And there is something called search management. Indexes is there. So import data. There is a one import data is here. Okay. So let me click it. Okay. So if you see this one, this is again AI search, and I'll click Azure block. So if you see, there are different data sources. It's very important to understand, from where you can, bring in your data. So data sources can come from, let's say, Amazon S3. So if you have any connectors, Azure Service Bus, again, it's one of the important connectors. SharePoint data, OneDrive data, OneLake data. Okay. If you have some SQL based data, you can bring in. Okay. But right now, my data is in PDF format. So I'll leverage this blob storage, which is again for unstructured data. Okay. So I'll click this one, and there is something called multimodal RAG. Okay. So multimodal RAG. Okay. Let me again go back. Sorry. So I'm just clicking import new. Okay. Then we have this Azure storage. Okay. So if you want to only inquire, sorry. Okay, if you want to only inquire this keyword search, if you want to create some of the applications which are related to keyword, then you can use this one. Again, there is something called RAG. It's written that ingest text and simple images containing OCR. So this is again inbuilt facility of OCR is there. Then you have this multimodal RAG. So today's session is more about this multimodal RAG. So text and complex images and diagrams, charts and workflows you can give to the model. And you want visual interpretations, okay, for the insights. Okay, so I'm selecting this multimodal. Okay, let me check if it works or not. So now I've created this Azure storage, James storage 33. Okay, and then there will be some containers, James 33. Okay, so I'm connecting my data source to Azure blob storage. First, I'll hold my data to this one, and then I'll click next. Okay. So I'm clicking next. So it takes some time because it's uploading data to the blob storage. Okay. Then you have something called text extraction is there. It will extract the text. It will create embedding, and then image output is there, advanced settings, and there are few more steps are there. But again, it will create some embeddings of text and images also. Okay. So it will take some few times to process and to ingest into the blob storage. Okay. So you'll see this one. There is some content extractions because my PDF had some of the text and images. So I'll go with the default right now. I don't want to burn my bills. So I'll not use this document intelligence because in our architecture has some this document intelligence as well, but I'm not picking up. I'm using the default feature. Again, default feature has this document intelligence also. Okay. So let me not pick up those document intelligence. I'll go with this. There is something called image verbalization. Okay. So what is this image verbalization? So LLM will verbalize images, text content and verbalized text content will be embedded. So that is why we are using this feature. This is again a content embedding strategy. So whether you want this multi-model embedding, again, this will incur a cost. Again, if you have some of the more images is there, so you can build on top of this strategy. You can pick up. This is multi-model embedding. But right now, my document has image and text together. So why not to pick up this, image formalization as embedding a strategy? Okay, so I'll go with this one. So Azure OpenAI, this is a kind of, the image visualization I'm using. The services that I just want, uh, this one, this I have created, and GPT 4.0 mini, the one that I have using deployment. If you see in the chat background, the one that I have used is deployment is, if you see this one, GPT 4.0 mini, that is why it is picking up from there. Okay. Again, I'll use it in API key. I'll say this one acknowledgement. Okay. Is there anything that I require? Okay. Text vectorization is also required because my PDF has text and image together. So again, this is the same. I'll use this rag01. Okay. I think now I'll use embedding because text must be embedded. Okay, both. And let me acknowledge this. Let me do and next. Hope it works. Okay. Then I connect through this storage account. Okay. And let me check if it is there or not. So let me check if it is there or not. So create a new blob storage. Again, let me go. It is there or not. Create a problem every single time. Let me select it. If it is there. Container lets me blob 3. Let me create. Is there any? Okay. Let me go back. So blob is there. Okay, container 33 is there. Let me call it James 33. Okay, create. Then we have this container, James container 33. Select. Okay. So let me go to home and James rag. Where is James rag? This one. Okay. Import data. Blob storage is here. Multimodal rag we have selected. Let me select this one. Storage is this one. Let's say James 33. So let me go to the storage first. Okay. Home. Let me go to the storage first. James 33 we have created. Let me see if this storage is there. Container is here. Okay. James 33. And let me upload content. This is chemistry one that we have uploaded. Upload. So it takes some time. Okay, chemistry one. Let me again click this one and let me go to the rag 01, 02. Let me go to the import one. Let me check if it is there or not. This one, multimodal rag. Okay. Select this one, 33. The container, let's say below container James 33. Next. Default, let me use a default. Let me go with the same, this rag one. The deployment that we have selected is this one. Me, okay, then text verbalizations that we want to use. Then we have this track mapped with track one. The embedding that we want to use is this one. And again, let me click next. Let me again storage 33 comes, then it is okay. And let me authenticate system assigned. Okay, let me use this system assigned only because we just want a content to be embedded, text and those images. Let me click. Okay. So it takes some time. Okay. So what we have done, let me again go back. Data sources we have connected. We have connected with the document intelligence. Indexed it. We have LLM in place, both vector embedding and response generations. Now we just connected with Azure AI Foundry. So app UX is nothing but it's a playground. So we'll ask questions and it will go to the semantic search. It will query it and it will bring the knowledge back and we'll augment it with this LLM. Okay. So again, indexing enables semantic ranker. There is something called semantic ranker. Okay, so whenever you have a chunk of responses coming back from LLM, so they rank it in a semantic manner. Okay, so indexing we are doing once. We don't want to do indexing frequently because data source is static right now. Okay, then let me go to the next. So this is the name of multimodal RAG. Remember that 537. Okay. So I'm just writing here James to remember it. I'm creating a next. So if you see this one, what typically happened, the embedding strategy we have selected is image verbalizations. The services we are using is Azure OpenAI. We have embedding model, text embedding model, and this is the response generations model. Okay, LLM response reasoning model. This is embedding model. This is reasoning model. Okay, so these all are things that we typically require. And then let me click next. So it may take some time. Okay. So again, it takes some time to create the embeddings because it work on both the images and text. So I'll take another 20 minutes to finish it off. So just give me another 20 minutes. So start searching. So I'm just searching it. Okay. So it may create an index hopefully. So let me put a star and this slash. So hope embedding gets created, it will show. Okay. So if you see this one, the embedding is created. Okay. So how we see this embedding? If I go down, you'll see this kind of a number, numerical value. This is nothing but a embedding. Vectorizations of the text and images together is stored here. That is why it required Azure AI search. Okay. So this has a capacity of 160 GB that it can hold. Okay. So this is again to see that embedding is created or not. You can see a lot of embedding and you see how many, the rows they have created. Some lakhs are created, some thousands are created. Okay. So let me just go to home. Let me again not create this one. Okay. So let me just refresh it, this model. Okay. We are in this Azure AI rack. Okay. Now I just want to put questions, right? So how I will connect it. So these all things that we have, we put in place, right? So we have data sources configured it, Azure Document Intelligence, we configured it, stored vector embedding and embedding in Azure AI such that we have done. We picked up Azure LLM for reasoning and embedding both. And now we want to see, in the playground that if you put a query, you have a prompt, how my model is behaving, right? So now I need some kind of a playground. Okay, so let me go to this chat. I'll go to the chat and you see the screen will look like this. So again, so you'll see this deployment. Again, it will pick up the one that we have configured, GPT-4 only with the version. So if you go down, there is something called add your data. Okay, let me go to the adding the data. And once you click it, there is something called added data source. So let me click this data source here. So once I click this data source, uh, the one that I have is the Azure AI search. The one vector storage that I want to connect it with Azure AI search, not from the blob storage. Elasticsearch, not through the one file that I have, like some of the files which are in the preview, MongoDB, right? But I'm using because I have configured Azure AI Search for the vector storage here. Okay, so let me click it here. So Azure AI searches, you'll see Jim's RAG 02, I think, okay, or 01. Okay, and the indexing, let me check. Okay, James. Okay, so this index is attached with this one. Okay, and let me click here. Let me go down. I'll not use any of the custom or anything, field mapping. And now I'll go to the next and we'll see this one. We have some of the search type. So this is very important, whether we want a keyword search or semantic search. Because if you go with the keyword search, they only pick up those documents which have only those keywords. But semantic, they'll have a broader meaning to it. So why not do the semantic one, right? Again, I have to select this configurations, Jim's configurations, because my vector embedding, text embedding is attached with this multimodal RAG, this one. Okay. So I've selected this one and I'll click next. So whether it is a system assigned or API key, I think it should be API key. And let me select, I think API key. So let me validate it. And again, it will validate it. We'll see what all we have done is the data sources we are connecting through the Azure AI search, and indexed is done in this one. There is a no mapping that we have created and nothing we have selected, but these are two important things. And the search type we configured is semantic search one, and authentication is API key. So anybody have the API key can access these models. Okay. Let me save and close. So once I saved it and close, it is my data source is attached. So now I'll put a prompt. There is something called, you just see, there is something called context and model instructions. So here, if you see this one, we are passing context to the model. Now I want my model to behave the way I just put these instructions. This is kind of a system instructions or kind of a system prompt that we are giving. I'm telling you are an AI assistant that help people to find information. Let's say I'm just putting a small instructions related to environmental science. Period. Okay. And then apply changes. Let me continue. So once it is done, okay. So and then on the right side, this is chat history. I'll ask questions. Let's say, let me pull out PDF. I don't know where is that. Okay, this is chemistry one. And I'm asking a question. Let's say, let me go down. Let me ask, what is hydrosphere? Okay, that's a small one because again, it will create a response in token format. So yeah. So let me ask, what is hydrosphere? Okay, I'm just asking questions. And then I'm just clicking this one. So my reasoning model is activated. Azure AI phone, if you see this one, GPT 4.0 model, okay? And this one is activated, okay? So there are three differences: hydrosphere, collective terms encompassing all different forms of water on Earth. These are all are coming from the resources, and also they have cited me. They have given us citations. So why this RAG is important, because they are also giving you some of the sources, citations they are giving you. That is why it is called a grounding response. Grounding response is nothing but if you get some kind of citations back, it means your responses are somehow in match with the response which you are getting from the LLM. So if I click this citation, you'll see from where they have picked up. These all are in my RAG, in my main, yeah, this PDF, nano, this one. These are picking from those paragraphs. Okay. So this is how typically your RAG works. Okay. So you can also ask a lot of questions, because again, it creates a lot of bills to me. So that is why I'm just asking one question. So what we have done, just give me another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll wind it up. So data sources, and then I configured this Azure Document Intelligence, the embedding that was created, stored in Azure AI Search. Then I have used this LLM. The embedding model was there. One of the embedding pre-trained model that I picked up, and one of the LLM. for the reasoning. Okay. And then playground, again, UI and UX. If you want to create a custom, that is again a different ball game. But right now, if you want to see your response of your models back, then you can use this Azure OpenAI Playground. Okay. So this all we have configured. So quickly, just give me another 10 minutes. Okay. So what we have done is again, so user query was there, RAG systems we have implemented, and we have connected with the external knowledge source. The environmental, the science PDF that we have connected was the external knowledge source, and passed all this to LLMs to give a, the grounding response. We have seen this one because they were also giving us the citations back, right? Three more for 5 citations, depending on the kind of questions we are asking. So every single, the answers which are coming from our own data set, not from their LLM, the trained model. Okay, that is why it is a grounding response. So what was the entire architecture that we talked about? Had one of the the knowledge base was there. Again, we have seen this knowledge base was there. The knowledge base was there, and we have created embedding of the query and this vector database. Whatever PDF was there, converted into vector storage embedding. And whenever someone asks a query, the query plus document retrieved from the knowledge base was augmented through LLM. Okay, that is why it is augmented generation. Generation is augmented. Okay, then we are getting this output. So if you see this one, there are mainly 3 steps we can say apart from this putting the query. So we have this retriever component that is more important. That how we configure our retriever component is more important, because here I have picked up this Azure AI search and stored my data in Azure blob storage, because more of unstructured data was there. Okay. And once the embedding was stored, so whenever you put a query, so retrieved document means conceptually relevant responses are stored. That is a retrieved document. Okay. The one that I was talking about, this is the vector embedding. So if you see this one, queen, princess, and woman are of the same family. So their vector embedding will be very close. Okay, and there will be stored in a place where queen, woman, and princess would be there. Okay, so they are again the numerical representation of a text. Okay, numerical representation of a text. Okay. Also, they capture the semantic meaning. That is more important. It's not a representation of the numerical. For example, queen, woman, and princess. Nothing to create into the the embedding or vector format or some number, but also it has some semantic meaning. They capture it and they store it. That is why vector storage is more important. Okay. Again, a generator is there because what generator typically does is it gives you the grounded response back from your input, from your prompt, and the retrieved chunk from your knowledge base. That must pass to the LLM. That is why your now prompt is augmented. That is why response is augmented, because it is coming, the augmented prompt, because you have now data from the vector storage and the query, original query of the user. So both are fusing, both are in the, the combining together. That is why this LLM gives you a response which are very grounding response, a kind of a natural language response you typically get in the final, the set. Okay. Again, the one that I have showed you was, this retrieval, whether it's a dense retrieval or sparse. The one that I have showed you was the keyword or semantic, and I have selected the semantic one. Why? Because they have an excellent understanding of a context. That is why I have selected semantic one. I would have selected the keyword search. The one that I have talked starting of this session was BM25. That is again a keyword search. Google typically works on BM25 algorithms. The one that they work on only on the keyword. They do not understand your semantic understanding. Now it is AI augmented. They are replaced by the semantic search. But again, BM search is excellent when you are working on a use case where only you require this keyword. In healthcare, you only require the keyword, let's say. You do not need much of the semantic one. So the BM25 algorithm that you can use, you don't need this dense retrieval. Okay. So the solutions again, typically, this RAG gives you, the improvement is improved of, 20 to 35%, it typically says, depend on the kind of a data you give it to, and the depend on the kind of LLM you select, and the depend of the embedding model you select. Okay. So that is why organizations are switching, not using this LLM directly. They are also augmenting, the responses through their knowledge base. And again, most of the use cases that I was talking about uses this RAG only. Okay. The something that you can use also a RAG on top of RAG is the fine tuning. Again, as model is frozen, you can use this some of the the external data, but fine tuning has some of even advantage, you can say. So also you can use your own data on top of this RAG, on top of this LLMs, and again you can fine tune your model. But again, this is conceptually expensive. So again, you are training your model from this kind of a scratch. So this is again a problem. That is why most of the organizations stick to this RAG model only. Okay. So the organizations which are using, and there are many, but I picked up these four. So for example, a kind of, you can say, the use case was the customer service resolutions. Now, if you have a RAG, your chatbot can easily give a response with the citations. So why not to use this RAG chatbot, right, in the customer service resolutions? Because again, a human intervention is there each and every time. But what if your questions are, let's say, similar questions? So you can put in this RAG kind of applications, right? Enterprise knowledge management capable. Again, they have used this RAG. Industry classifications, build a system that classify business vendor codes. Again, you can use a RAG. And banking professionals to navigate complex internal policies. For example, if they want to understand the company's policy, the lead policy, maybe there are many policies. They can talk about the healthcare policies. So they can create their own chatbot on top of their own knowledge base. Okay. And there is also some of the modern RAG stack, and there are also some of the framework of RAG that you can leverage is LangChain, Llama Index. Okay, so if you work on if people work on the data pipeline, they can use this Llama indexing, and yeah, okay. So there are so many use cases you can solve using this Llama indexing, but again built on top of this RAG stack only. And the LangChain is again the agentic framework, or you can say kind of orchestrator. Okay, so if you want to use this enterprise grade applications, so you can use this LangChain. And again, this framework is very used frequently used in industry to create some of the agentic the use cases. So, and there are also some of the challenges. Again, it's not everything. RAG is not everything, but again, a lot of use cases, business use cases you can solve. And again, there are some of the limitations also, and still there are some of the hallucinations you can say. And but again, depending on your data size, it can reduce. And these all are some of the limitations. But I find these limitations may limit if you have the proper prompt in place, system prompt is in place, the way you ask the questions, that is in a perfect way, a kind of a prompt engineering is in place. So you can leverage this RAG. But again, I would say it's not like a foolproof. But again, it's this something which you can use it for different applications for research work. Okay. So the future is, again, this is the last slide, and I'll not take much of the time again. So again, apart from the RAG, because we are in the era of this RAG only. So we'll see, as I was talking about, majority of the applications are built on top of RAG. But again, there comes a concept of agentic AI. So because we want our systems to take some decisions, to put some reasoning, where we do not want intervention of a human. They put their own reasoning, they put their own logic. So these autonomous systems are are coming in place. They are AI driven. They are nothing but kind of, you can say, a more matured version of a RAG. So agentic AI is something that you can leverage, and also again, so agentic AI has the capability of autonomous behavior that makes stand out in the market. Okay, so maybe you will see some of the use cases later on, this agentic AI will possible. So these are the some something that I wanted to focus on. Okay, if you have any questions, I would love to have a few questions. And thank you so much for giving me this time. And I really enjoyed, explaining the few concepts which I really like to explain. So thank you so much.
Participants, if you have any question, you can put up to the speaker. Also, sir, there is a request from one of the participant for the
Mhm.
recording of the presentation or a manual regarding what you have shown on the Microsoft Azure.
So I'll share my PPT, and yeah, so that I can promise. So I think Professor Santanu is there for the recording and all that. So I think he can take care of that.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I request everyone to kindly turn on their cameras for the group photograph. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for the valuable session.